Good night, everyone. Just tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. Spirit Divine. I'm going to give you a little, some news on tonight. And first, we're going to start with United Postal. This is kind of a update. Suspending their services due to safety of concern for their employees. So the postal service is responsible for ensuring customers and employees safety. United Postal takes safety of their employees serious, as well as committing to delivering American mail. So one, due to environment and safety of these mail carriers, going into someone y'all to deliver mail, you know, uh, they are the one who deliver all our mail. So they are committed to delivering all the American mail all over the world. So I want all these postal services, mail carriers, to be safe, while they're delivering mail. So I create something like in each community, I want a mini section building to hold about 100 mail slots, you know, for every customers in that community, and where the mail carrier won't have to go in no one yard, and they'll be be safe, so they'll go into this little mail mini room with all the mail services for that community, will be in there, so he or she won't have to go in no one yard, have to deal with dogs or anything running behind them. They go in this mini building and put the mail in a slot, and that should be that. And so I'm trying to have it where they can be safe. So they won't have to go in no one yard. You know, Safety for the employees. So now the only time United Postal will suspend services if we do it this way is when a storm come, flood come, stuff like that, then you will have to suspend it. But for a regular day, for daily mail to be delivered, let's eliminate, going in someone yard. Just put these little minutes on slot in every community, and we'll see how this will work out. That way the postal service, carrier will not, you know, be harmed. Unless only time you'll be able to shut down, like you say, if they had a flood, the storm, and situation like that. You know. Um. So now I'm gonna talk about I know it was like months ago I talked about the Jew wants to move the juvenile to Angola, so they have, you know, did it. So then you have this juvenile here being sent to that road. Been sent to Angola for that road. So this juvenile was known as Pee Wee. His name Alonso, but his nickname is Pee Wee by his family because he shared his father's name, and also he did say he was tiny. So but as he grew up, the name stuck because of his small stature. So Pee Wee does describe him physical that he was tiny. So Sherry, Miss Sherry, an Orleans Parish juvenile public defender who had known the family for years. So Pee Wee was the oldest child in a loving and supportive family, but in his early teen, hardship struck him Vincent. So when he was 14 years old, he found his grandmother, dead, you know, at her home. So Pee Wee was already, diagnosed, with mental illness. So he turned 15 years old in darkness, and that's where everything just all happened. He found his mother. He found his mother dead. First he found his grandmother. So now he find his mother dead. As well in the bathtub. So that can be kind of disturbing when he already was diagnosed as mental health, and seeing all these issues is going on right now. So the uncle Marlon, only to find out later that his father was in their need of a liver transplant. So he have this. This is a teenager. He have all these things that's going on around him. Imagine how he feel. And by he's not strong enough to deal with all these issues that's going on when he was diagnosed with help. So Derek had died suddenly of a brain tumor at 45 years old. That's his mama. You know, I mean Derek is she died at 45 years old. At the same time that that his father was diagnosed with liver cancer. Placed on a waiting list for a transplant. So the oldest of the four siblings and the only boy in the house, Pee Wee did not handle the situation well. You know, so he have all this going on in the household. So many people, a couple of people died. His mom, his grandmother died. And then you got Debbie DeFano. She died suddenly as a brain tumor at 45 years old. So he handled the situation well. So the father said it's painful to talk about it, but he lost it. His son fighting for his life. So the state decision, to make some juvenile offenders to Angola. It was their decision to bring the juvenile to Angola. So federal judge who allowed the transfer one of those inmates who families said they consider for his very survival. He really trying to survive up in there. He fighting for his life up in there. And this is a teenager. So this is a teenager. He in Angola as a child being tried as an adult. So he among all these adults, and getting beat down and everything else in Angola when he's supposed to be in the juvenile center. So Pee Wee started after Pee Wee started after he saw his grandmother dead. And then later on he saw his mom dead. He also suffered with mental health. So with mental health, and he dealing with two deaths back to back, that could be trauma. And then he's not a full grown man. He's still a teenager. So he began getting into fights at school. This is after the two deaths. He couldn't handle the situation well. So he started getting into fights in school. That's when it started. He began breaking into cars. Later on he found himself in juvenile justice system after getting caught in a stolen car. So the family said he borrowed the car. He didn't steal the car. He borrowed the car, not knowing it was stolen. So it just one thing led to the next. And it was so many pretty stuff that he didn't know. He didn't know enough. So Pee Wee he got an ankle bracelet on. So three other juveniles was with him. They was accused and in the strain of the carjacking, robbery. So the Jefferson Parish and prosecutors decided to try all the kids as an adult. I remember they said that months ago. So they're trying all these juveniles as an adult. So getting the mental health resources that he he not getting the education that he need. That he need to be have. He need to get these kind of help. He needs to get help. He need to go finish school, and he needs to get his mental health taken care of. He needs that taken care of because he lost his mama, his grandmother, his daddy while he was in there. The daddy, got sick. Needed a liver transplant. So This is too much for this boy to handle, So he needs to get his mental health taken care of. He needs to get his education, still going on. He need these things to be done. He really don't. He don't. No, he don't need to be in Angola. He needs to be in a center where he can get these type of things done. Because this is a child that have mental illness, and he suffered a whole lot of seeing his mom and grandmother dead. So he lashing out. So he really need helps to be in Angola. Because then he plead guilty as a child, and he should they should have never let him plead guilty as a child. You know. So his father was helping him out, but then the father had got sick and had to get the liver transplant. And they allowed this teenager to make a decision on his own because him to go have that road. And the other guys that was with him got 20 years in prison, but he was the only one got the death row because he admits to being guilty. You know, um, so Pee Wee and the three other juveniles were accused in Sterling, stealing a carjack robbery. And so Jefferson Parish prosecutor decided to try all the kids as an adult. So getting the mental health resources that he not getting the education, that he need, that he needs to be, he really needs to get help. He don't need to be in Angola. He need help. So um, you get into that system. They say you get into that system, you pretty much lost. You don't have the same glory plea, deal as the other defendants that have the 20 years in prison. Now the other, guys that were with him, they got 20 years in prison, but he pleaded guilty, so he got that roll. You know, so they took it off him, but he's still in prison. They took the death row off him because the dad and the had the liver transplant, and he came forward on his son's behalf. So he really didn't understand what he was pleading guilty to. That's what the father told him. He had mental illness, and this is a juvenile. So he don't know what he was pleading guilty for. So the weapon involved, they said a weapon was involved. The father said it was not real. It was a play gun. This is a juvenile have mental illness. So he's not walking around with a real gun. That was a play gun he had in his hand, the father stated. So the cop said he became to be a target in there. You know, when people calling him and visiting him, and nobody now visiting them, they figured he one of them goody two shoe child, and he was become to be a target in there. So he had been beaten, he had been stabbed, he been pepper spray. Why he been in there? Now he under adults when this is a teenager. And so he getting all this kind of treatment because they transfer the juvenile into Angola among the adults. And he getting trial, he getting beaten, and everything else in Angola. And this is a child. So the father had went and visited him and saw that how he was beaten. How his face and everything is just all swollen up. He got beaten so bad to his hearing, he lost some of his hearing in one ear. So and his daddy just had a liver transplant. And he still have to see about his son, and he very disturbed. So after the father got the liver transplant, and this was in 2018. So this a case that happened way back. So the father had the transplant in 2018. So this probably happened in 2018 or 2017. So he visited his son as much as possible. He was shocked. What he saw, his son beaten so bad where he lost hearing in his ear, and his face was swollen. In a parent to see something like that, it's heartbreaking. They put a vulnerable child, somewhere dealing with mental issue and that in that kind of environment. You know, he shouldn't even be in that kind of environment. He needs to be in a center where he can be getting the kind of help that he needs to get. You know, you have to realize the type of things he probably was doing, he don't even know he was doing. Just like he plead guilty. The father said he don't know what he plead guilty for. He don't know. So serving 20 years, Pee Wee was sent there. Correction official told the family it would be easy to protect him. So now they're gonna, move him to correction. See, he's still locked up. Then they took the death row from him, but he still is locked up. So Miss Sherry, at the juvenile public defender, who once represented the family before, so he is off death row. He's off death row. Thank God for that. Um, Now but he still is locked up. He lost hope. Now this is the child is talking like this here. This boy here, he lost hope up in there. He said he don't think he coming out. You know, so this boy is fighting for his life. He is fighting for his life. He had plead guilty for something he don't know he plead guilty for. So his attorney is trying to get appeal for civil rights claim. So she trying to help him get that done. So we talking about the curation that I did for the Postal, because I just put out yesterday that they're talking about suspending certain states and certain area because of for the safety of the employees. So I create like in each community, have a section. Cause I remember, I know someone had that, and they have that like in Gentile. She said, "I'm gonna check the mail." So I'm like, "Well, where you going? The house is right here." She said, "No, we have a section, like a little mini building, where everybody in that community mail slot was in there." So I think that would be a good idea. That way, the employees won't have to go in no one yard and be attacked. So they just go in there, mini room. They'll have a key, put everybody mail up in there, and they ought to be, safe. You know, um, so it's all about trying to have them safe, because we have them they deliver all our mail. So we can't have them to be suspended, or we can't have them to be not, sending our mail. We have so much mail throughout the whole nation to be put out. You know, so they would deliver all the mail into this small mini building where I wanted to hold at least 100 slots for that community. So safety. This is all safety for the employees. So now the only time the employees, it said the United Postal should be suspended if you have a storm, you have a flood, you have stuff like that. Then you might have to suspend it for temporary. But in the meantime, we're trying to have it safe for the employees that sending our mail to us, and sometimes they have to go in the yard, and place the mail in people's box, and sometimes they getting attacked. So I create that all community have this here, safe for the United Postal. So we also talk about this juvenile have mental illness, and after he saw his grandmother dead, he saw his mama dead, he started lashing out. He first started getting in trouble in school. Then he started doing other stuff. The other guys that was with him, they had 20 years, and he the only one had that role because he pleaded guilty to something that he don't know what he pleaded guilty, for. So we talked about the juvenile. We talked about this young boy that first they gave him that role. For somebody that's have mental illness, that he don't even shouldn't even be in Angola at all. He should be somewhere where he can be getting the kind of help that he needs. You gotta realize he he had just got diagnosed, for mental illness. Then he saw his grandmother dead. He saw his mama dead. So he never got the kind of proper help for that. He don't need to be in Angola. He needs help. So I request that, that they move him out. They took him, that road off, but still, I still don't think he should have 20 years or whatever time they give. I know first it was 20 years for the other guys, so I don't know what they give him, but he need to be in some kind of center to be getting the kind of proper help that he needs. You know, at all. Because he have to talk to someone. You know, he done lost his mom and grandmother, and then his daddy got sick at the time he was locked up. Had to get a liver transplant, so he don't need to be in Angola. So thank you that y'all move him from there and bring him back to the center, but he still don't need 20 years. He still really don't need to be in among a group setting. He need help. He need professional help. He need to talk to someone, you know, because he has so much bothered up in him and he don't even have hope. And when they're like that, they'll commit suicide, and they can do that in prison also. So he really needs help. He needs to talk to someone in that environment that he don't even need to be in. So I request that he get some kind of help. And he don't need to be in that environment. He lashed out. That's not no excuse, but he needs to talk to someone about just him lashing out. So he won't do it again. You know, and the mail slot. You know, I create for every community. You have a mail slot, and the customer and the mail service, the only one should have a key and keep that building, the little small mini building locked. You know, and they have the mail service. They have the little slot, and where everyone have a key to get into their slot. That way the mail carrier will be safe. He go to every community and you do the mail that way, and you won't have to worry about going to no one yard. And also, we talked about this young teenager had been sent to Angola, for all kind of activities that he did, from lashing out from his mom and his grandmother, being dead, and also his daddy was dead, so he felt like he had no one, and by he, not in, um, in that condition, he don't know what he was doing or don't know what he said, don't even know what he had was guilty for, so that's all the show news I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.